Circles is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back on this beautiful Tuesday night / evening, depending on wherever it is that you could be joining us from. Once again, I do come to you live from Kampala, Uganda, to discuss the latest from the world of football. There's plenty for us to discuss. We'll be talking about Uganda being knocked out of the U17 World Cup at the hands or at the expense of at the hands of Burkina Faso. We'll talk about Zinedine Zidane's, being favored for an international managerial job. We'll talk about Manchester United's exploits in as far as what their pursuits could be for the January transfer window, even though we still have about 6 weeks to the opening of that. We'll also talk about injuries that continue to wreck Arsenal's squad. There's been some developments in regards to some of the players that are expected to return and those that we had feared for the worst. So do keep it locked on the channel, and you will hear it all from me in as far as this broadcast is concerned. But before we proceed any further, allow me to do the absolute honors of having our audios tested. Make sure everything does check out to the T. It's that one sort of routine that we ought to get through quite religiously on every single occasion of this broadcast. So, meanwhile, I was doing some work that I left half-baked. Anyway, it does come with the territory. If we do experience any internet glitches whatsoever, please do bear with me. My internet has already shown signs of unseriousness during some of my work that I've been doing over the last couple of hours. So I'll beg for your kindness that you do stay with me even when things falter, even when things falter. So it's something I've been experiencing for the last couple of, I think about an hour or so. So do bear with me in case we do experience some glitches on that feed as well. I can see we already have somebody asking, hi, where are you from? I'm from Kampala, Uganda. Thank you for asking. Where are you joining us from this beautiful evening? Do let me know where you're joining us from. This beautiful Shivi. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm trying to read your name correctly. Shiviga. Is it Shiviga? Hi, Shiviga. Apologies if I do mispronounce your name, by the way. Apologies. I'm not. Some of your usernames are a bit of tongue twisters for me. But for those of you that are just joining us, my name is Robert K. Sakos, and I do come to you live from Kampala, Uganda, where we are streaming live. I'm Shivi from India. Hi. Oh, how is India? Thank you so much, Team India. Like I keep saying, it should almost become, I think, more like the way we have our tagline, which says, for the fans, by the fans. I think my vote of thanks to Team India may as well be second to the tagline, because thank you so much, Team India, for the love and support. You guys have loved the channel. You subscribe to the channel. You do come and engage on every live. You do, make the conversation worthwhile. So I do not take that for granted. Even though I do acknowledge that majority of you are cricket fans, which we do not, entirely speak about on this channel, as it is a football channel. But you've extended me the courtesy of love and support. So thank you so much. I do not take that for granted. And I hope everything is doing or is all well with India. So thank you so much. I do appreciate that a great deal. So, like I've said, those are some of the things we'll be talking about. And tonight, there are games that are ongoing in as far as the World Cup qualifiers go. Switzerland and Kosovo, that game is still goalless, as is Sweden and Slovenia. Belarus and Greece is still goalless, while Scotland are leading 1-0 against Denmark. Bulgaria are 2-0 up against Georgia, while Spain have taken the lead or took an early lead through Dani Olmo against Turkey. So we'll be keeping our eyes and tabs on that as well as we go through this evening broadcast. So, but the big question is, where do we get it to start it all? I think for me as a Ugandan, there is only one place to start, and that is the Under-17 World Cup, where today, unfortunately, the journey of our very own Uganda Cups did come to a premature end, albeit none of us may have assumed, may never have predicted, or even hoped, maybe not hoped, or may have not guessed that Uganda would go this far in the tournament in itself that is being hosted over in Qatar. I think we had grown hopeful as the boys did amazingly well right from the group stages, having lost on match day 1 against Canada by 2-1. They went on to draw with Chile in a 1-1 draw, and then subsequent to that, they beat up against the 2001 champions of France by 0-0. Now, once they made it out of the group stages, our first opponent was Senegal at the round of 32, which we thought was a whole mountain to climb, because we are talking about a Senegal side that had yet to concede a single goal in as far as the tournament was concerned. We came up against them and somehow we pipped them, beat them by 0-0. That goal scored by Abubakari Walusimbi. And I mean, very, very interesting stuff for the Vipers youngster there. And we managed to advance to the round of 16, where we met another African, not giant, so to speak. I think an African peer, a team that we thought we are within the same realms, with whom we thought we are almost evenly matched. And I think the game itself went on to show that there's not much disparity between the two sides in terms of footballing capacity. Unfortunately, I was really, really caught up by the time by the kickoff of this game, which came at 3:30 p.m. But nonetheless, I managed to catch a glimpse of it in bits here and there. And towards the tail end, I refused to watch the penalties. Completely refused. Why? Penalties are not my forte. They're not my piece of cake. Really, I dread penalties because I go into penalties well knowing they're a 50-50. Any side can win them. And basically, that's just what it is. And it was no different from what exactly transpired. So, against Burkina Faso, the boys did really, really well. But I thought there was a lapse of concentration in conceding that equalizer that they did concede in the 77th minute. For those of you that are just joining us, kindly do me the absolute honor and favor and like the broadcast. But also, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel and help us continuing to grow. When you look at the game, of course, it ended in a goalless draw in the first half. There's a moment where Burkina Faso really, really invaded, our backline, and it was shot after shot, and all the shots were blocked in that moment. And when we went out of that moment unscathed, I thought, yeah, now maybe we do have a chance. And indeed, we gave ourselves a chance because I thought we competed well. Thought we competed well. Now, while we competed well, we never managed to get it over the line because Arafat Nkola in the 56th minute broke the deadlock of the game when he scored to give Uganda the lead. A very, very brilliant strike, one that I urge you to go and try and watch, possibly on YouTube or on any FIFA platforms. Brilliant goal he did take. When he's given that ball, he takes a control touch that sets it up exactly on the line of the 16 yards box, of the 18 yards box, and bends it beyond the reach of the goalkeeper. So, and it gave Uganda the 1-0 lead. But like I said, a lapse in concentration because I think it was a result of a set piece play. The ball is played out, and then Burkina Faso regained possession. I think it was through a throw in. By the time it is floated back, they have two players at the back end of the back line. Literally, our defense slept on the job in that moment. And, Alassana Bagayogo, yes, Alassana Bagayogo controls the ball quite, effortlessly well to his chest, brings it down and scores past Idrissa Waibi, who was the goalkeeper for the Uganda Cubs in goal, who started with Idrissa Waibi, Elvis Torach, Stephen Oiroth, Hamza Sengoba, Jovan Mukisa, Abubakari Walusimbi, Isma Magala, Bran Ijara, Enoch Bagenda, Arafat Nkola, Derek Sozi, Yes, as some of the starters in that game. So really, really interesting stuff. Richard Okero, those were some of the starters that you did witness in that game. Now, I do not know, but I think I will leave it to the goalkeeping department for their expertise. But they did make some changes when we went for penalties, withdrawing Edrissa YB for Adrian Mukwanga, who had started in the first game against Canada, which we lost by 2-1. Hi, LFC. Good to have you back. I hope you're doing well, my brother. Thank you for joining the broadcast once again. At the time of your joining, we are talking about the U17 World Cup, which is being played in Qatar, where Uganda, our own Uganda, were unfortunately knocked out of the tournament following a 5-3 loss on post-match penalties that, proceeded a 1-1 draw. But again, we've seen it quite often in this tournament that many games have been decided on penalty shootouts. LFC says, I can't stay, I'm sick. Oh, sorry about your illness. I wish you a quick recovery. I'm going to bed early. We wish you a quick recovery, LFC. Please recover on time so that you can enjoy watching Liverpool play against Nottingham Forest over the weekend and possibly attend to your rugby fixtures that tend to come over the weekend. So we wish you the best of luck in that regard. So Uganda, like I said, they missed 2 penalties, and that's how they ended up bowing out of the tournament. And Burkina Faso get to advance to the quarterfinals. So congratulations, Team Burkinabe. I will wish you the best of luck at your next level or at the next stage of the competition. We will get to know who will be up against who in as far as the quarterfinals are concerned. And then in the other games, Italy knocked out a 10-man Uzbekistan when they beat them by 3-2, while Portugal put 5 past Mexico, not Morocco, past Mexico. Mexico too had been reduced to 10 men following a red card in that game. Brazil and France, these ones shared the spoils in a 1-1 draw in normal time, and Brazil pipped it on penalties 4-3, so they advanced to the quarterfinals. They've had to drag themselves across this tournament, but let's see how far they can go. In the other game, Switzerland beat up against Ireland by 3-1, while Japan advanced at the expense of North Korea following a 1-1 draw, Japan winning the tie 5-4 on penalties. Austria put 4 past England. England there receiving a red card in that game. So Austria won the tie 4-0. And then Morocco beat up against Mali by 3-2 to advance to the quarterfinals of the tournament. So let's wait and see what there is to come in as far as the competition is concerned. The top scorer for the tournament is Anicio Cabral from Portugal. He's leading with 6 goals. Then you have Jonas Mosa from Austria with 5 goals. You have Hassan Diashiku from Austria with 4 goals. Ismail El Audi from Morocco with 4 goals. Raymond Bomba with 4 goals. So there are so many players with 4 goals there. So that's the Under-17 World Cup. The tournament does continue. Let me see if we can get the quarterfinals. If we have the draws. I do not know if you can access that run of fixtures in regards to how it will display or fare up. But okay, all right. Looks like not just yet. But oh, come on. Anyways, so that's the run of that's the outlook of things. So it means England are out. It means Italy are through, Burkina Faso are through, Portugal are through, Brazil are through, Switzerland are through, Korea are through. Japan are through, Austria are through, and Morocco. Now on Friday, that will be the round of 16. I don't know why I keep, having a slip of the tongue for this tournament. But on Friday, 21st November, that's when the quarterfinals will be played. Austria will be up against Japan. Italy will take on Burkina Faso. Portugal will be up against Switzerland, while Morocco will take on Brazil. So do let me know what your predictions are for who you think will advance to the semi-finals for the tournament, because we are now at the quarterfinals and next will be the semi-finals. My good guess would say I'd go with Austria. I don't know. I'd go with Burkina to edge Italy to reach the semi-finals. That is more selfish than not. Portugal to edge Switzerland, and Brazil to get the better of Morocco to set up a good, very, very good semi-final. So those semi-finals will be played on Friday, the 21st of November. So keep your eyes peeled to that. At 3:30 p.m. Austria and Japan. At 4:30 p.m. Burkina Faso and Italy. And at 5:45 p.m. Portugal and Switzerland, while Morocco and Brazil will kick off at 6:45. So we will leave that at that. Then quickly away from that, let's quickly go to the international scene where things are also happening quite pretty fast. Like I've given you an update in as far as the qualifiers go for the games that are on live as we speak. Wales are leading by 3-1 against North Macedonia. Belgium are 3-0 up against Liechtenstein. Vanaken and Jeremy Doku, they are the goal scorers. Jeremy Doku has a brace in that one. So brilliant performance for the Belgian international, who went into the international break on quite scintillating form, having been arguably the man of the match in that 3-0 victory against Liverpool. Then Romania are leading San Marino by 3-1. Austria and Bosnia-Herzegovina, that game is 1-1. These games are edging towards halftime. And Spain are still leading by 0-0. That goal scored by Dani Olmo, while Bulgaria are 2-0 up against Georgia. Scotland have a 1-0 lead against Denmark, while Greece and Belarus is into halftime goalless, as is Sweden and Slovenia. That game is also heading towards halftime, with Kosovo and Switzerland also still goalless. Now, still staying with the realms of the international scene, reports have come out that former Real Madrid head coach Zinedine Zidane is the leading contender for the French national team's managerial job. Now, it's not vacant. Well, some of you will be quick to wonder that what's happened to Didier Deschamps, who's been literally there for ages, for as long as we can remember. Well, we know that he will be stepping down from the role at the end of the World Cup 2026 that will be hosted in USA, Canada, and Mexico. So ahead of that expectation, it is believed that Zinedine Zidane remains the outright clear favorite to take on the role after Didier Deschamps exits. And this is according to Fabrizio Romano, and I quote, Zinedine Zidane remains the clear favorite to become the next French head coach after the World Cup. Nothing signed, as Zizou wants to respect Didier Deschamps, who will only leave the job at the end of July. Federation also fully focused on the World Cup 2026, but Zizou favorite for the next chapter. Now, we know that Zizou was at the helm of Real Madrid on 2 stints, did win 3 consecutive UEFA Champions League titles. That was 2016, 2017, and 2018. He guided them through that, and he returned some point later. At one point, we thought he was going to go to Juventus, given the vacant role or managerial role at Juventus and things like that. But unfortunately, that never manifested. It did not turn out to be that way. Ever since leaving Real Madrid, he's been literally out of management. He's not managed any team. So regardless of what you believe about him, so he's, by measure of his own account, with being at the helm of Real Madrid, he is a definitely a winner, because in charge of Real Madrid, he won a total of 11 trophies. 11 trophies, 3 UEFA Champions League titles, 2 La Liga titles, 2 Club World Cup titles, in as far as that was concerned. So that is a collection of about 7 and I think another set of cup competitions, but it is predominantly the UEFA Champions League and two La Liga titles that really won him the bragging rights. He's the kind of manager who many could not tell you, many could struggle to explain to you his uh, tactics or how he loves to go about football in general. At the time when he was at the helm of Real Madrid, he was looked at more predominantly as a team organizer, as somebody that organized that team into playing for each other, into a team that thrived. So we will wait to see under France. And for me, I must say, I did feel disappointed, or I do feel disappointed to a certain extent that a manager of his caliber, given the sort of progress or the sort of promise that he had given the world of football, that he's not given it a go to try and manage other clubs. And I want to believe, without an ounce of doubt, that it's been due to a lack of opportunity. In any case, there were clubs over in the Saudi Pro League that were clamoring for his signature. Not that I would have wished him to take his exploits to the Saudi Pro League, but I thought there were opportunities well around Europe where he could have, taken another measure of himself. Not that he needs any validation whatsoever, but I thought we wanted to see more of what he's got in terms of being that winning gaffer. Is he that man that everybody admires? Because it's not every day that great players go on to be great managers. It's not really every day. When you look around modern day football managers, not all of them were, most of them were not great footballers. They were not the most outstanding footballers that you could talk about. When you look at managers like Diego Simeone, they were very good players. Pep Guardiola, Luis Enrique, they were good players when they played for Barcelona. And when you look at Simone Inzaghi, when you look at Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, when you look at Frank Lampard, he was a very great player. He's so far not been a very great manager. He's done wonderful things at Derby County. He did not do great things at Everton, nor did he do any miracles at Chelsea. He's now trying to reinvent himself at Coventry City, where he's really thriving. So the jury is still out there. Steven Gerrard showed very brilliant signs at Rangers. He did perfectly well. Came to Aston Villa, things burnt his fingers. Went to the Saudi Pro League, never really worked out the way he had hoped. And ever since he's been out of work. Then, so when you look around at some of these, the very best of managers, and maybe of course you have some outliers, the likes of Carlo Ancelotti. When you go back to back in the days, you'll find the Johan Cruyffs of this world. Of course, Zinedine Zidane is within that realm. Great player, great coach, but like I've said, I think Zidane did not give us the test of length of time in the role to draw us to that. Xabi Alonso is stepping into that. I think he was a very great player. So, and that kind of thing. So you look at Francesc Sola Fabregas, it's still early days. The jury is still out there. What he's trying to do at Como, I thought he was a great player. So yeah, in that sort of sense, in that sort of outlook of things, when you look at the Thierry Henrys of this world, they are great players, but have they been great managers? Certainly not. We remember him being an assistant at the Belgium national team. We remember him being at the helm of Monaco. Things never really worked out for him well. He was at one point, I think, at New York Red Bulls. You look at, of course, he managed the French the French Olympic team, which won silver. He did fairly well there, but overall, he's not been a great manager. You look at players like Paul Scholes. He tried it, I think, was it Wrexham? And he burned his fingers. Roy Keane tried it out. It never really worked out. Look at Wayne Rooney, had a very good... he had a good stint, I think, with Derby County, but ever since then, things have not been the same. He's struggled in his own ways, and he's been out of work. So really, when you look around, oftentimes, players that were very good at playing, that were great players, have not transformed into being very good managers. So there's that I thought we should tackle apart when it comes to Zinedine Zidane. Meanwhile, William Estaval has 5 goals in 5 starts for Brazil. For an 18-year-old, that's very, very promising. For a Brazilian national team that we know is a conveyor belt of talent. However, in recent times, majority of that talent has not lived to its expectations. When it comes to football, Brazil is like China. They just keep producing. They just keep producing. But similar, the way the difference this time around is that most of the recent talent has not lived to its bidding. When you look at the likes of Richarlison, when you look at the likes of Oscar Mboaba, when you look at the likes of Rodrigo Goes, when you look at Vinicius Junior, I do not think he's yet to live to the bidding at the national team. There's a whole Matas Cunha, there's a whole lot of many players. William Borges de Silva did not live to the bidding. Matthew Gott says, hi Matthew, good to have you on the broadcast. Kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel if you're new here. But when you have a promising talent like William Estaval, we can only hope that things go right for him, because we all know that Brazil really, really want that leading player, a player that takes the ball by its horns, a player that is ready to take responsibility, a player that can carry that team on his shoulders, For many years, we had hoped it would be Neymar, but Neymar has struggled with injuries. I do not know if he will even be fit come to the World Cup at 2026. We do not know what's happened with him. He's aging out. This stands to be his final attempt at the World Cup, as will be the case for Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of trying to win it. But I think he's fallen, below the expectations in that regard. So that is up there. Okay, let's move on. Where do we go next? Let's go to Manchester United, because there's some news there at Manchester United. Now, where do we start with Man United? Okay, let's start with their own player that they put out. They sold out to Real Betis in Anthony. Anthony did reveal while speaking to the media that's a global, Globo, a global, that Bayern Munich tried to sign him in the final 24 hours of the transfer window. He did say, and I quote, that Bayern tried to sign me in the final 24 hours of the summer window. Company called me personally. We spoke. He said he's always been a big fan of my game, but I gave my word to Betis and I couldn't betray them. Betis for me means happiness, and that's why he is where he is at the moment. I do not know. Maybe we will never know what would have happened to his career if he had gone to Bayern Munich. But he's an exciting player. There is a very, very good player in there. He just needs to be consistent. He just needs to add more numbers to his game in terms of goals and assists. And the rest, the future is still open. The jury is still out, there to see what else he can do. Anyways, quickly, away from Anthony, let's stick with Man United and talk Benjamin Sesko. Now, Benjamin Sesko, was ruled out for a period of about a month following that knee injury that he suffered in their 2-2 draw against Tottenham Hotspurs. You all remember he went off injured, that's to the extent that United needed to play or had to play the remaining minutes of the game with the man less. So, contrary to first feared thoughts or speculation, he won't be out for long. He will only be out for a period of about a month or so. Manchester United staff, according to different sources, expect him to return back to training with the rest of the group at the beginning of December. Or, we do not know. It doesn't mean on the 1st of December, but within the starting days or weeks of December. That's when the Slovenian striker is expected to be back. We spoke about him today morning in our morning broadcast, for those of you that were able to catch it, and are saying that this injury does not do any harm to Man United as a team in regards to missing a talisman, but it does more harm to him as a player who is trying to acclimatize to the Premier League football and the new environment within the UK and things like that. So he's not had the best stats to the campaign. People have drawn comparisons between him and Rasmus Højlund. I do not know if there are similarities or there are major differences, but it's safe to say that he scored, I think, about 3 goals. One against Grimsby Town, he scored against Sunderland, and the other goal was against what? Was it against Brentford? I stand to be corrected, but he scored a couple of goals there for Man United. So it's not been the dream start he would have hoped to have at Man United, but the jury is still out there. It's still too early. I do not want to be too hard on him or to be sort of very judgmental in these opening weeks of the season. It's only been 11 Premier League games played. It's only the first couple of months. Some players take longer to adapt. Others adapt quite quickly. We've seen players make Premier League switches within the Premier League and still take a bit of time to adapt to their new environment in terms of a team. How about a player who is still quite young, that is just come out of the German Bundesliga? Hi Rosetka, you've submitted your comment, but I do not know whether it's in is that Russian, is that Ukrainian, or Polish? I do not know whatever the language that is. Due to language barrier, I cannot read your comments. I'm unable to read your language, and I have no active translator here to try and make sense of what it is that you're saying or asking or trying to communicate. But thank you so much. Russian. Hi, bro. Hi, Rosetka. Okay, looks like I guessed right with the language, Russian, but that's the best I can do. Hi, how are you doing? Good to have you on the broadcast. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is well for you. Kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel since you're new here. And do let me know, how is Russia? How are things going for you over there? How is Russian football? What's happening? Because ever since the war started with Ukraine, you guys have been sort of cast out of major tournaments, particularly UEFA Champions League, UEFA Europa League, Conference League, Euros. So has been the World Cup and things like that. So how are things in terms of football on that side? I'm all right. Thanks for asking, Rosetka there. Anyways, let's move on from the injuries from the injury of Benjamin Sesko, but still staying with Manchester United. Now, a lot of speculation has started flowing in the direction of Manchester United in regards to what they could stand to do in the January transfer window. And they have their sights on 3 holding midfielders. And those 3 central midfielders are Carlos Baleba, who they had targeted in the summer, although Brighton said he was never for sale during the course of the summer. Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace and Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest. Remember, he made the switch from Newcastle to Nottingham Forest at the start or in the summer of 2023 because Newcastle needed to sell off some players to be on the good side of the profit and sustainability rules of the Premier League. Now, there were 2 players that they had to let go, Yankuba Minte, who left for Brighton, and Elliot Anderson at the time. Now, we've seen how good he is, Elliot Anderson, in that midfield. We've seen him at Nottingham Forest. We've seen him at the England national team. And he looks to be quite the baller out there. So Man United will be targeting one of those for their central midfield role. Now, Carlos Baleba has not had a great start to the season. He's sort of struggled to find his footing at the start of the season for the 21-year-old Cameroon international. And that has raised doubts, not within just the Manchester United fan base, but I'm sure even within the technical department of Man United that are following up on his progression. The Jason Wilcox of this world that do mind Manchester United transfers. And if you're Ruben Amorim, watching him and drawing comparisons between Carlos Baleba, Elliot Anderson, and Adam Wharton, you could actually put them. You could put him in that sort of. You could put him third choice. You'd put maybe Adam Wharton, Elliot Anderson, and possibly Carlos Baleba, or another person would say Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton, and then Baleba. So that's how quickly he's fallen down the pecking order. I do not know that to be the absolute fact in terms of Manchester United's stance in regards to who they may go for or may not go for. But I think the significance of Carlos Baleba, the kind of price tag that was being slapped on him during the course of the summer, being at the ballpark of around £100 million plus, in comparison to Elliot Anderson, for whom reports have suggested could cost anywhere between 100 and 120 million pounds, which is not totally the case, because according to a very reliable source in Ben Jacobs, he did say you will find that the transfer fee of Elliot Anderson is significantly lower than 100 million pounds that is being quoted by majority sources, speculative sources within the realms of the English media. And then Adam Wharton, ballpark was around 60 million pounds during the course of the summer. Some tried to push it to 100 million pounds with the speculation that Barcelona and Real Madrid were tracking his progress with, some level of interest. But we will wait to see if that interest is concrete. But that is the speculative nature of what is surrounding Man United. They are looking for a central midfielder, and chances are to try and beat, summer competition for some of these elite, players. They could look to do business in the January transfer window, but we will have to wait and see whether that will actually be the case in about 6 weeks' time, when the January transfer window officially opens on the 1st of January. That will be a Thursday, and then we'll close on we'll close on the 2nd of February, 2026. Still staying with Man United and their prospective interests in as far as the transfer window is concerned, we mentioned them in line with Antoine Semenyo, after learning that Antoine Semenyo from AFC Bournemouth, that's the 25-year-old Ghanaian international, born in Bristol, who joined Bournemouth in January 2023 in a deal worth £10 million, has a £65 million release clause in the opening 2 weeks of the January transfer window. If any club wants to sign him, it's £60 million guaranteed, with an additional £5 million in expected add-ons for that clause. Now, remember, he was subject to transfer speculation with the likes of Arsenal, with the likes of Tottenham Hotspur, with the likes of Man United, and possibly Chelsea, all with Liverpool as well, said to be interested in his services during the course of the summer. But that speculation was quickly put to an end when he put pen to paper on a new contract. That was on the 1st of July 2025. Now, that came just a fortnight after the transfer window had officially opened on June the 16th. So he committed his future in a 5-year deal to AFC Bournemouth. But like I've told you, if you do want to sign him, there is clearly a very, very big window, a very big opening for any team that may want to tie him down, that may want to sign him. And they would be required to pay at least £65 million in total to land the Ghanaian international, who has been in stellar form this season, scoring 6 goals and providing 3 assists in the opening 11 Premier League games. Last season, he managed double figures in terms of his goal contribution to Bournemouth when he scored 11 Premier League goals, and 2 other goals came from other competitions, particularly the EFL Cup. So you look at that progression, and he's progressed really, really well. And yeah, I think he could do well even in a bigger team. He's capable of stepping up, his game. We've seen he has the pace, he has the dribbling skills, he has the eye for goal. He does also provide the assist. We remember he scored a brace, quite a brilliant brace against Liverpool on the opening match day of the Premier League for this season. That was on the Friday, 15th of August. When Liverpool beat up against Bournemouth eventually by 4-2 in that game. So he will be one to watch going into the January transfer window. But that release clause is limited to the opening 2 weeks of the January transfer window to allow Bournemouth, should there be a team willing to take him, room to find a replacement in the subsequent 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the closure of the window. So that's the reports coming in that regard. Anyways, that's to do with Man United, with the injury of Benjamin Sesko, with their pursuits for a central midfielder, and the speculation surrounding Antoine Semenyo. Quickly, we want to now move on to Arsenal because, again, they continue to make news, not for the most desired reasons if you're an Arsenal fan, but it is still news anyway. This has to do everything with injuries. Now, We know that Gabriel Magalhaes suffered a groin injury or a muscular injury in their 2-0 victory, or in Brazil's 2-0 victory against Senegal at the Emirates Stadium just this week in an international friendly. A scan revealed by the Brazilian national team revealed that it's a muscular injury, and then Arsenal intend to do another scan, but early signs or early speculation or reports do suggest that Arsenal could miss the defender for a period of about 6 to 8 weeks. That's a month and a half to 2 months. They could be without the Brazilian international. Of course, like I said, they will give him a couple of days rest to see how he fares, and then they will do another scan to examine the extent of that injury. But early speculation has it around that ballpark. Nothing is yet cast in stone, but early fears have it in that ballpark in as far as the Brazilian defender is concerned. So if you're an Arsenal, if you're an Arsenal fan, please bear that in mind, or keep that in mind, that so far that's how things are looking like in as far as the injury for Gabriel Magalhaes is concerned. So let's wait and see what else will be coming out of the Arsenal medical department ahead of their North London fixture. We spoke about this quite at great length. I think that was it last night or today morning? I think, let me see. Should have been last night. Yeah. Okay. Was it? Yeah. Last night, we spoke about Gabriel Magalhaes at great length, saying why Arsenal fans shouldn't be too worried about Gabriel Magalhaes. It was not to do with the context of the length of period of his absence, but the fact lying in Arsenal's richness in squad depth, that they do have potent replacements that can fill the void in his absence for whatever period that he may be out for. However, I did also emphasize that there is such a period as too long, because you do not want to lose your pivotal players for a very long period of time. And for Arsenal, he is one of those players, even though they do have potent replacements in that role. So we'll wait to hear on what there is to come out for Gabriel Magalhaes in regards to the extent or to the severity of that muscular injury. Then quickly, still staying with Arsenal, reports have also come out to indicate that while the Gunners were really, really hopeful that Viktor Gyökeres will have returned to action in the aftermath of the November international break, which is wrapping up majority today, and players will have started reporting back to their respective clubs and will continue to report back. Viktor Gyökeres is a doubt for the North London derby against Tottenham Hotspurs. That was revealed by the hand of Arsenal today, saying he is a major doubt for the Tottenham Hotspur game. The jury is still out there. We still have Wednesday, Thursday, and probably Friday to assess the possibility of him making it to the matchday squad. But there are huge doubts for the Swedish striker to be available for that fixture. And we saw how greatly Arsenal missed him in their 2-2 draw against Sunderland, because Mikel Merino, who has played in that role as a striker, is a bit of a different profile and how he goes about his game when he is played in that role. And we all know he's a midfielder. Anyways, then quickly, also we spoke about Martin Odegaard. We do not know with absolute certainty when he is due to be back, but earlier reports did suggest, and this came from Stel, the Norwegian national team manager, who said while his recovery was progressing well, he was still a bit away back from a return. So we'll wait to hear again from Mikel Arteta in his in his pre-match press interview or press conference, possibly on Friday, to know where things stand in as far as Arsenal's injuries are concerned. But then the key issue or the key concern is Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz suffered a relapse, and that has been revealed by the German national team manager in Julian Nagelsmann. Now, I do not know why suddenly he is the one telling the world about the progression of Kai Havertz's, possible return and things to do with that. But we'll take the news as is without spending so much time on what the source is. Now, Nagelsmann said Kai had a minor relapse in his injury, but overall he is doing well. He is expected to return towards the end of the year. Now, towards the end of the year, that means mid-December and onwards. So Arsenal fans do not expect to see Kai Havertz in the next 1 month. That's what practically Julian Nagelsmann is telling you, because I'm one of those who had hoped that he would be back, especially in this November-December transitional, very, very busy period. We know how busy it can be. We know fixtures come thick and fast, that sometimes you're playing 3 games in a space of 8 days. You play at the weekend, midweek, and the weekend again. So given how fast those fixtures do come, I think, I do not just think, but I know it for a fact that Arsenal will need whichever players that could be available to their disposal to be available to aid that rotation in their own team squad. Hi SD, how are you doing, bro? Good to have you on the broadcast. Kindly like the broadcast, but it's a pleasure to have you back once again. So I think it's of huge significance, understanding that you're going to be without Gabriel Magalhaes for a period of almost a month and a half or 2, depending. Like I said, we're still waiting out to find what the ultimate period would be. I don't know if you've noticed, but Arsenal lately have been intentional on not putting timelines on the expected return of their injured players. So you have Viktor Gyökeres is a dart for the Spurs game. Kai Havertz suffered a relapse. Martin Odegaard, this progression, whereas it is still commendable, we are still yet to ascertain how soon he could make it back. So that is that. And Noni Madueke will be training with the team, but still we do not know whether he will make it to the matchday squad for the North London derby. Gabriel Martinelli, we're still a little bit in the dark about that. Gabriel Jesus, we know that Gabriel Jesus is back training with the rest of the team. Let's wait for the aftermath of the international break and see some of those training pictures from Arsenal to find out whether we have some new returnees from injury. Otherwise, it's not really looking pretty for Arsenal at the moment, as we know that they have that many players out through injury in Kai Havertz, Viktor Gyökeres, Gabriel Martinelli, Noni Madueke, Martin Odegaard, and you have Magalhaes. I hope I'm not repeating his name. But, Gabriel Jesus is only recovering, and that kind of thing. So really, that's a number 1 too many, really, to have for injured players. We know that Riccardo Calafiori has not played a single minute for the Italian national team during this November international break due to, an issue with his hip, so whereas reports do have it, whereas we have it on good authority that is expected to be available for the game against Tottenham Hotspur. Anything can happen. Injuries do happen even in training, and or even away from training. So, Arsenal fans, you'll have to hang on your dear lives. You'll have to pray in whatever mother tongue you find comfortable for you, that Arsenal can still hold foot. Even with all those injuries that they do have at their hands, especially in what's going to be a very, very busy period. Like I've told you, they return with Tottenham Hotspur. It's an away game. They return to the Emirates Stadium to play Bayern Munich, then play away to Chelsea, play, I think, at home against Brentford, play Aston Villa, and those will be their 5 fixtures between now and the first week of December. So do let me know what your thoughts are on all those submissions. There's plenty that we've discussed, right from the Uganda Cups. We've discussed Zinedine Zidane. We've discussed Manchester United, Benjamin Sesko, and their transfer prospects. We've discussed Arsenal's injuries. But before we wrap it up tonight, there's also news regarding Barcelona. Now, Barcelona are expected to return to the Camp Nou, the Spotify Camp Nou stadium. They're going to be back, and they will be back this weekend when they take on Athletic Bilbao. we know that the stadium underwent redevelopment, and that's why they've been playing away from it. They looked to what Real Madrid had do. They looked at what Real Madrid had done with the refurbishment of the Santiago Bernabeu, and they thought to themselves, why not? With the expectation that they would increase their capacity by about 5,000 seats, so it's all set to return home. Football will be back home for Barcelona. And I mean, what an amazing feeling it must be for those Barcelona fans to know that they are going to be returning home to the Spotify Camp Nou as the new stadium debut will be against Athletic Bilbao, in some of that. Then quickly, what else? What else? What else have we not tackled in as far as this podcast is concerned? I think we've touched most of the major stories that do concern football. Anyways, let's skip that. Let's skip that. I was assessing something to ascertain whether it's worth revealing to you or not. But anyways, we'll let that be. Before I bring news to you, I like to really filter it out to know that what I'm giving you is worth your time. So when I take a moment to pause, do bear with me. Meanwhile, it's the second half is on, and Switzerland have found the lead against Kosovo through Vargas. So they are leading that game by 1-0. Sweden and Slovenia is still goalless, as is Greece and Belarus. Scotland and Denmark, that one is 1-1, while Turkey are leading by 2-0 against Spain. A goal scored by Gal and Oscar are the ones that have given Turkey the 2-1 lead against Spain as we speak. Remember, Spain came into this game having not lost a single fixture. In their first 5 fixtures, they had not yet conceded a goal. Having scored 19, well, they've scored 2. They've conceded 2 in this one. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bosnia is leading by 1-0 against Austria, while Romania is leading by 4-1 against San Marino. Belgium is leading by 7-0 against Liechtenstein, while Wales are 4-1 up against North Macedonia. The goals for Belgium, like I told you, have been scored by Van Aken, Jeremy Doku with the brace, Michele, Salamancas, Kata Irele, and Dikupia are the goal scorers there for Belgium, or for the Belgium national team. Great things happening there. I remember Belgium are under the charges of former AC Roma manager Rudi Garcia. He also managed a couple of teams, I think, in the French Ligue 1. So that is what is happening in as far as the European World Cup qualifiers do go. Guys, why don't you allow me wrap it here and wish you a blessed night. So thank you so much, Shivi. Thank you so much, Shivi, for being part of today's broadcast. Thank you so much, LFC, for being part of today's broadcast. Thank you so much, Matthew Gott, Razetka, and SD, for being part of today's broadcast. But before we wrap it up, it was revealed that referee Michael Oliver will take charge of the North London derby between Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspurs. Now, it's going to be the first time he takes charge of a game, of an Arsenal game, I think since January. Now, for a referee that has been in so many controversial decisions regarding Arsenal, I do not know why the Pidgemal thinks that the North London Derby is a good game to hand him. We know how feisty or fierce the battle of a North London Derby can be. And for a referee that has dished out 8 red cards to Arsenal, I think, I stand to be corrected. Could be 5, but I think there could be, 8. I do not know why he's being given to officiate this game. I don't know whether Pidgemal are looking for another scandal, or I don't know. I really do not know the school of thought behind this. Nova Bro says, I hope you're doing good, man. I need to go right now. God bless you. Thank you so much, Nova Bro. Always a pleasure to see you around. Now, again, I think we'll get to discuss more of this in the morning. But I think the Pidgemal are not doing themselves any favors in putting Michael Oliver in the firing line for this. Now, he's officiated Arsenal on numerous occasions. He's awarded them 97 yellow cards, more than any other team. He's officiated. He's brandished out 8 red cards to Arsenal. In absolute comparison, when you look at Tottenham Hotspurs, he's given them 5 red cards. And same applies to Everton. He's given Liverpool 1 red card. He's given Man United 3. He's given Chelsea 2. He's given Aston Villa 3 and West Ham 3, with Leicester 4. Against Manchester City, he's never given them any, not 1. And by the way, it's not to say that the games in which he's officiated Manchester City, they've not been incidents where they would qualify for a red card. You remember the game between Man City and Liverpool where he did not give a penalty to was it McAllister for Jeremy Doku's foul in the box, high boot in it, I think around his stomach or chest almost. You remember the incident, I think, regarding, was it Mateo Kovacic? The tackles on Martin Odegaard between Arsenal and Manchester City. So, I find it very suspicious, and a lot of people have questioned this. The interesting bit for me is that even the English media have not remained silent on this. So, it will be the first game that it will be the first Arsenal game he takes charge of since the red card he issued to Miles Lewis Kelly, wrongly so, against Wolverhampton Wanderers, because that red card was then repealed in the aftermath of the game, because Arsenal appealed it and they had it repealed. So I do not know, but it's not a good reading, and all eyes are going to be on him. But the advantage for English referees is that they always have the protection of not just the Pidgemal, but the FA as well. Now, somebody said this, and I quote, if Michael Oliver does anything blatantly wrong in the upcoming game between Arsenal and Tottenham, the integrity of the Premier League is at risk. This man, whose previous history with Manchester City is damning, and if I even go further, look at his win percentage against Liverpool, it's crazy. Now, he's been found very suspicious. Remember, this was a statement from Pidgemal in the aftermath of the Wolves game in which Miles Lewis Kelly was given a red card. They wrote in a statement and said, and I quote, we are appalled by the threats and abuse directed to Michael Oliver following the Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Arsenal fixture. No official should be subject to any form of abuse, let alone the abhorrent attacks aimed at Michael and his family over the past 24 hours. The police are aware and a number of investigations have commenced. We are supporting Michael and all those affected and are determined to tackle this unacceptable behavior. Sadly, this is not the first time a match official has been forced to deal with threats in recent times. We all continue to support all investigations. Now, guess what? That's because Michael Oliver received a lot of criticism from the footballing world for the decision that had happened against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And for me, I do not condone whatsoever the attacks of referees and their families or targeted. But I'm all for the criticism of their own performances within games. That we must criticize. And I've always picked wrong or found it troubling that managers, and particularly managers of teams, are not allowed to lambaste the poor performances of referees, even when they make outrightly wrong decisions. Even when the pigeonhole in the aftermath of those decisions sometimes have come out to apologize. Even when in the aftermath of those decisions, the pigeonhole or Premier League have come out to revert those decisions, like wrongfully awarded red cards and that kind of thing. So I really, really find trouble with that, you know. So for a referee like Mike Oliver, it's very, very suspicious. He's going to be suspect. And all this dates back to when he got paid about £20,000 to officiate a game in the UAE. So I know it's a conspiracy theory, but for as long as he does not check himself, he's always going to be suspect of foul play. And today, of all people who you would least expect to critique or to question the decision of Pidgeotto to hand the game to Michael Oliver, I did not expect Jamie O'Hara. Now, Jamie O'Hara is a pundit, is a journalist, whatever you may call it, with Talk Sport, makes features on Sky Sport. He was also wondering why Michael Oliver is still getting Arsenal games. He too is wondering, after all the controversy that is surrounded him and the Arsenal games. Like I said, he's going to be under a very, very huge microscope. He's going to be under. He's going to be under a very, very huge microscope. So, the game will come. It will come on Super Sunday. Let's wait and see how things will go, you know, because those reasons that Arsenal fans give are not without evidence. You remember when Ruben Diaz elbowed Kai Havertz? Nailed a card for that. You remember when Brad Erling Haaland clattered, was it into William Saliba or Gabriel Magalhaes? No booking for that. You remember when Jeremy Doku delayed a restart? He kicked the ball away. No question for that. And this only was last season when he took charge of their game. I think it was a 2-2 draw at the Etihad Stadium. And then it's in that same game that he handed a red card to Leandro Trossard for delaying a restart. You know? So, he's very suspect. And on all occasions, guess what? The Pitchmore have defended it. And it's very, very suspect that for 2 consecutive seasons, he's been in charge of Arsenal and Man City games when Arsenal are going for the title. You remember when Arsenal were playing against, I think, was it Wolves and he handed 2 yellow cards to Gabriel Martinelli in the same run of incident and subsequently a red card. That in itself was suspicious because there's just too many examples of that. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. For me, what troubled me the most for that red card against Wolves is that not even VAR reviewed that and caught the referee's error to call him and say, that's not a red card, or at least come and revisit your decision. It's all conspicuous. Hi, Pedri. How are you doing, my brother? Unfortunately, you caught us at the tail end of the broadcast. But are you excited about the return of Barcelona to the Camp Nou? I hope you are. And I'm hoping you're looking forward to that. I love the World Cup. Understandably so. We're talking about the qualifiers. And Spain being behind against Turkey by 2-1. Last I checked. So how are things for you? Of course, Spain have restored parity since then through Mikel Oyarzabal. It's 2-2 as we speak in the 72nd minute of the game. But let's wait and see. We are all eagerly waiting for the World Cup, but until then, we still have an entire season of football to deal with. So allow me to wish you a blessed night, guys. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. I do not care about how we do against Turkey. We already qualified. Ha ha ha. Okay. Okay. But are you excited about your return to the Camp Nou? Do let me know on that. But yeah, I'm so excited to see Barcelona versus Bilbao at the Camp Nou. Well, we wish you the best of luck. I hope you get off to a winning start in your return to the Camp Nou. I'm sure many Barcelona fans are really looking forward to it. Those that have been denied the opportunity to watching their home games due to the limited number of tickets that were available to them as compared to the size of the Camp Nou, let's hope things will be better for them now. And yeah, otherwise, it's been a pleasure doing this with you guys. Have yourselves a blessed night, and let's do this again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Bye-bye for now, and stay blessed. Let me return to other work.